Okay, when I say blood pressure, what's the first thing that pops into your head? High, right? We're always talking about high blood pressure. But what about the flip side? Today, we're going to dive into something that's just as dangerous, but often gets overlooked. When your blood pressure drops way too low, and what you can actually do about it, right in that moment.
Yeah, we've pretty much all been trained to worry about high blood pressure. But here's the thing, a sudden drop can be just as alarming, if not more so, in the moment. And it's something you really need to be ready for. So, let's get into it. We're going to explore what one heart rhythm specialist, Dr. Jeffrey Corson, calls the other blood pressure problem. You know, the one that just doesn't get the same kind of attention.
And there's a really important difference in how we should think about these two. High blood pressure, that's usually a long-term game, a chronic issue that builds up over time. But a sudden drop in blood pressure, whoa, that's a whole different story. That can be a sudden, immediate danger that you have to deal with right then and there.
Okay, so what are we even talking about number-wise? Well, the official name for low blood pressure is hypotension, and the magic number, so to speak, is a reading of 90/60, or lower. Once you hit that mark, that's when doctors really start to pay close attention.
But numbers on a cuff are one thing. What does it actually feel like when this happens? Because knowing these warning signs, that's your first and maybe your most important line of defense.
Look, your body is pretty smart. It's really good at sending up flares when something's wrong. If your blood pressure takes a nosedive, you might suddenly feel super dizzy or lightheaded. Maybe your vision gets a little blurry or spotty. Your skin might feel all cold and clammy, or you could get hit with this wave of nausea. These aren't just random feelings, okay? This is your body screaming, "Hey, I need help over here now."
So you're feeling those signals. What do you do? What's the plan? The good news is there are some really simple but powerful things you can do right away, right at home, to help your body get back on track.
We're about to walk through a 7-step action plan. This is all based on Dr. Corson's advice, and these are things you can do immediately to help nudge that blood pressure back up into a safer zone.
All right, tip number 1 is the easiest one of all. Just lie down. Seriously, think about it. When you're lying flat, your heart doesn't have to work so hard fighting gravity to pump blood up to your brain. Just changing your position like that can give you an instant little boost in blood pressure and might be enough to keep you from fainting.
And Dr. Corson has this great way of explaining it. He says fainting is basically your body's version of hitting Control plus Alt plus Del on your computer. It's a forced reset. It literally makes you lie down to fix the circulation problem. Pretty clever, right?
Okay, next up, tip number 2, hydrate. Drink some water. It's so basic, but we forget that our blood is mostly, well, water. So if you're dehydrated, you literally have less blood volume. Less fluid in the pipes means less pressure. It's that simple. The garden hose analogy is perfect here. If you just trickle water from the spigot, the hose is all limp, right? No pressure. But turn it on full blast, and the hose gets firm. Same thing inside your body. Getting some fluids in you quickly boosts that volume and helps restore the pressure.
Tip number 3 is pretty cool. You can actually use your own muscles to help. Try this. Make a really tight fist or cross your legs and just squeeze everything. Your legs, your stomach, your glutes. Another one is to lock your fingers together and try to pull your hands apart. All these little actions fire up big muscles, and that helps literally push blood from your extremities back up towards your core and, most importantly, your brain.
All right, tip number 4 is more of a proactive thing, but it's super effective. We're talking about compression gear. You know, those tight socks or even an abdominal binder? What they do is apply this constant, gentle squeeze that physically stops blood from just sitting around or pooling down in your legs. This forces more of it back up to the heart. So if you're someone who gets these BP dips often, having a pair of these in your car or your bag is a really smart idea.
Moving on to number 5, a cup of coffee. Yep, that jolt of caffeine can give your blood pressure a temporary kick. But, and this is a big but, it's not a magic bullet for everyone. It really depends on you. If you're someone who drinks coffee all day long, your body's probably used to it, and it might not do much at all.
Tip number 6 is another easy one. Cool down. Think about it. When you're hot, your blood vessels get wider to release heat. That's great for cooling off, but it also slows down your circulation and lets blood pool in your feet. So just getting out of the heat and into a cooler place can help your blood vessels tighten back up, and that gives your blood pressure a nice little lift.
And finally, number 7, get a grip on your stress. You know how in old movies people faint when they get shocking news? That's a real thing. It's called situational syncope. Basically, a super strong emotion can actually make your blood pressure plummet. If you feel that wave of panic or shock hitting you, the best thing to do is sit down immediately and just breathe. Focus on slow, deep breaths. Things like box breathing or the 4-7-8 method can really help calm that physical panic response down.
Okay, so those 7 steps are your immediate at-home toolkit. They're your first line of defense. But we need to get serious for a minute because there is absolutely a line, a point where this stops being something you handle at home and becomes a real medical emergency. And you have to know what that line looks like.
And this might be the single most important piece of advice from Dr. Corson. He says forget the number on the blood pressure cuff. I'm serious. What matters, what really matters, is the symptoms, how the person is feeling and acting. That's the true signal of a crisis.
And here's why. It's all relative. A sudden dip of just 20 points can be enough to make someone pass out. Now think about someone who lives with chronic high blood pressure. For them, a drop to what you or I might consider a healthy number could actually be a full-blown crisis because their body just isn't built for that low of a pressure. So these are the big, flashing red lights, the absolute red flags. If someone passes out, if their skin is cold and clammy and they look really pale or even bluish, if their pulse feels weak but really fast, or their breathing is all shallow and quick, do not wait. That is the moment you call 911. No hesitation.
At the end of the day, you have to trust your instincts. Dr. Corson puts it perfectly. If you find yourself on the fence, wondering, should I call for help? Is this serious enough? That hesitation is your answer. You should always, always err on the side of caution.
And that really brings us to the most important takeaway of all. It's simple, it's direct, and it's something that could literally save a life. The message is this: when in doubt, make the call.